Welcome to day 157 of the 300 movie challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of June 2007, which was Ratatouille.
Yay! How did Pixar go from making Cars last year, and our wonderful review of Cars? Valen has very fond memories.
In particular.
To this.
Well, see, I didn't realize that this was made by Brad Bird.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah, I
fact,
saw the
like
name
that
and I was
either.
like, yo, it's Incredibles, dude.
yeah, and so I looked up and I was like, what else has he done? He's only directed 6 movies.
What?
Yeah, so there was the Iron Giant movie, which
Oh,
I haven't seen, but apparently a lot of people really like it.
I heard it made a lot of people cry.
Yeah, so there's that. The Incredibles, Ratatouille, Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol,
Oh.
Tomorrowland, which I've heard wasn't very good, so I don't know. And Incredibles 2, and that's it.
Wow.
So
so pretty much most of his record is,
Good.
great.
yeah, I mean, so we saw Mission Impossible 2 like a while ago, and it wasn't very good. But apparently, I've heard that Ghost Protocol is actually really good. So who knows? But yeah, so considering that record again, I know Tomorrowland's not very good. I don't remember the reasons why. I remember reading or listening to somebody talk about it, and it was kind of like it has like good ideas, but like is messed up in some ways. I don't know. So whatever, maybe I don't know. But yeah, so ignoring that, like everything else is good apparently. So that's a pretty good track record. Yeah, I saw the well. Okay, Maya's not seen this yet, or no,
No.
she just saw it for the first time.
Yeah, I'm the only one who had not
Yeah.
seen it previous to today,
So-
basically.
You go first.
I go first. Okay, well, I mean, well, the first thing I said when it was over was that I'm strangely emotional right now, and I am still a little bit strangely emotional right now, and how do I just feel like there are a lot of good themes in this movie, like, about the whole thing of like your family is flawed, but you want to help them even though like they try to sway you in a certain way. Like Remi's family is very, they're actually kind of prejudiced and they're like closely knit and they kind of have their way of living. And they're a little bit closed-minded, and you kind of expect that from people sometimes. And I mean, a lot of people are like that. So there was like that whole thing with like Remy being like trying to find his own way, but he still wants to be a part of his family, even though like maybe they're not like the same as him, like in thinking and how he sees things as opposed to how they see things. Because like he also kind of feels like in the very beginning he was like, I feel like I've been kind of used, since he was used as like the poison detector for his talents and stuff. And then there's like that whole angle, and then there's like the stuff with the whole thing with inheritance, and like there's so much pressure being put on Linguini. Why is his name Linguini?
There's Alfredo Linguini.
Linguini.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. There's like a lot of pressure being put on him because like of his origins, and I mean, I don't know if it's spoilery territory or if it's like open season for spoiling that detail, but I'll just vaguely allude to it. There's some like thing with inheritance and the expectation that comes with it, especially if you're like kind of living in someone's shadow, but you're also living a lie. And I guess I'll say this. The miscommunication plot in this movie works very well because, like, Remy cannot speak to Linguini. He doesn't understand him. Only Remy can understand the humans, but the humans can't understand the rats. So they have to communicate in a very specific way where, like, Remy has to, like, you know, do charades and try to figure out how to communicate with this giant hairless human, basically.
Who's not exactly
And-
that smart.
No.
Yeah, who's not exactly the brightest crayon in the box. But I think they had a very interesting dynamic, and the whole thing where Linguini is kind of living a lie, because once things change, then he has to he doesn't have what, like, the social acceptance to say that I didn't do this. This very cute rat did, you know, so they kind of have, like, a misunderstanding with that. I mean, it's not really even a misunderstanding, it's just like...
It's the liar revealed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the liar reveal, and it's also like, it's kind of like that thing where sometimes, like, either pressure gets to someone's head or, like, fame gets to their head, and they kind of forget where they come from, and then they don't really think about the person that helped them. But in this case, it's like, it's handled pretty well, because I mean, it's like with a rat, and he can't tell the world that a rat is cooking, but it's also like, you know, it's kind of the whole, I don't really know how to explain it. It's I'm like thinking about a lot of things right now, and I can't remember everything. But the whole thing with, like, we've said that this trope is usually handled very poorly, the whole reveal, but in this case it was you know, it was justified because of how it was set up and the circumstances, and, you know.
Well, yeah,
and you even understand, like, some of the mistakes they both make. Like, Remy gets upset, so he invites his family to eat the pantry, and then that was kind of, I mean, I can understand why he did that, because he was like, well, he doesn't care about my contribution, so I might as well just go back to my origins. And oh yeah, maybe this is what kind of also got me in the very beginning. Gusteau is also, like, a character in this movie. He's supposed to be dead, but he's portrayed as, like, a figment of his imagination. And I don't know what it is about that. I guess it's because, like, I've personally lost someone in my life too. So, like, the idea of having that person kind of kind of guiding you through certain things is I liked how it was handled, because it's like sometimes when, after Remy, he found his own way, he kind of didn't need the figment of his imagination anymore, and then when he needed that push again, that's when he came back. I'm okay, you guys can... I can't speak right now.
Well, like, the thing you said about the liar reveal, because I was also thinking about that, and I'm like, this is a kind of plot device that usually bothers me, and I was like, why does it not bother me here? And I kind of settled on two things. The first was that the motivations on, like, all sides, like, make sense leading up to it.
Yeah, because I guess the thing is, like, if we use Shark Tale as an instance, the thing with Oscar and everything is that...
I remember his name.
I have to after watching it, like, 80 times.
She will never forget.
The thing with Oscar and stuff is that his motivation was like, yeah, I want to get famous, I want to get all the money and everything, and then you see like how he got to whatever he is, and you're just like, you're just a horrible person. Why am I even rooting for you?
Yeah.
And it's like when he like tries convincing people, you don't even feel bad that his lie gets revealed or anything. You're just like, okay, whatever. Of course this was gonna blow up in your face. What did you expect?
Yeah, you usually either see something like that, or you see something where everything's going great, and then for like no reason, some problem arises. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's usually either one of those two things. Here, it's their motivations make sense, the issues they both have make sense, and kind of what happens with that, it's a logical scenario that would have to happen. So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
But the second thing is something I kind of noticed at the end, was that when he does the whole reveal at the end with, like, you know, to the other cooks, like, you know, the rat's the one who actually fix everything. They walk out, and except for Colette, they don't come back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's actually, like, a consequence to the reveal.
Yeah.
It actually matters. It's not just like, oh, we don't like you, but then in like 10 minutes we're all gonna like you again. It's like, no, all of them are like, fuck this shit, I'm out. So, you know, and Colette's kind of her own special case, but so that's kind of a thing where I'm like, oh, huh, I like that, where they leave and they actually don't come back.
Yeah, you don't even see them in the new restaurant either. And the reason Colette came back made sense too, because she had mentioned time and time again that Hid Gusto had inspired her and everything. So it makes sense that even when she left and everything, she saw the book and then she remembered the phrase and then she came back and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess in that way it's like even a rat can cook.
And also she probably, of course, the fact that she worked with Linguini before that, she kind of could see the connection there as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There's something else I was going to mention. Oh, okay. One thing that, like, bother is the wrong word, but just is something that's, like, I always thought was weird.
That stands out in a weird way.
Is, like, I mean, of course, you know, a story where a rat can control a person by moving his hair. Like, okay. But even if you get past that, I think the thing that's the most weird is that, like, the movie acts like these food critics have so much power. It's really weird. It's like that they're like, this guy is gonna say bad things about her. It's like, okay.
Don't question
the
canon.
No, I know. It's like, it works in terms of the story, but I'm just like, this is kind of silly. That, like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just, and like, they make the guy, like, so, like, diabolical and, like, how he acts and, like, talks and stuff, that he's just, like, such an evil person. And, like, he's not, but, like, you know what I mean? It's just funny to me that, like, the big baddie is a food critic. You know, it's just silly. So,
One would expect that it would have been the health inspector or something.
It usually is supposed to be the health inspector, but that was another thing I liked. I liked I actually did like the ego. I liked him.
Yeah.
Especially like at the end where where he like ate.
Also technically no villain.
Yeah, no one's like a villain. I'm just saying, like, the role of a quote unquote antagonist, and it's not even antagonist. It's more like, what's the word? It's like the whole
issue.
Well, no, it's like a writing thing where, you know, it's like the conflict resolution, right? He's the conflict, right? He has it's like, you know, so yeah, it's just kind of. But yeah, I do like with him the whole thing about like, you know, about how like people who criticize are focused like too much on like negative things.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Especially with how media is right now.
I liked the ending bit where like Ego, he was narrating his review.
Yeah. Because it made me, you know, think of kind of what we're doing. So I always try to like think of something that I like about a movie. Even if it's not that good, there's usually something that's like at least okay. Some movies are just trash.
I mean, like the beginning.
Like that, which not be spoken
but
of.
And so it's something where you have to, you know, be careful what you convey, because like a lot of times also I try to also recognize when I don't like something, but like I can understand who this was made for, or like maybe, you know, what they were going for, or something like that. So I this is something I try to keep in mind because I think a lot of a problem that people have in terms of criticizing things is they're like, I don't like this, therefore it's like objectively bad, right? And that's like
Right.
that's you can't quite say that. So, because like I think we would all say there are things that we have seen that we don't really like, but they're not like objectively bad, right?
Yeah, there are of course
There-
like some things that are that.
There are also things that maybe I have in my top 20, but Ryan and Valen may not even have the same movies, and
Yeah.
they might even rank the same movies lower or higher than wherever I rank them.
It's
Yeah.
I'm sure we've mentioned this before, but just to reiterate, we are ranking all of the films, but we're keeping them like pretty much secret from each other. So every couple, like every kind of milestone, I often ask them like random things. Like when we got to 150, I was like, "What movie do you have at number 50 and 100?" Right, just to kind of see what they are. But like, we don't, especially in like the top or bottom. Like none of us know what like we have at number 1. And I mean, we can probably guess, but we don't know for certain what we all have at the bottom. So
I guess if it's not really much of a spoiler to say that anything that has a Sora treatment is all in our despised category.
yeah, but
Yeah.
in terms of exactly where they fall in the ranking, for example, there are. Well, I think the idea with the Sora treatment, I think, is it's like we all despise it.
Yeah.
But like again, there's things that are in my despised category. There's things that are, I think, in my bottom, if not my bottom 5, definitely my bottom 10 that have not gotten Sora treatments. So,
Same,
Right.
yeah.
you know, it's kind of it's an interesting thing of how this is gonna work, and it's one of those things where it's like I want to know, but we're purposely like really trying not to tell you. So that's gonna be something for the very end. But yeah, I don't know. For this movie though, it's interesting because I know I've seen it multiple times, but I don't really remember when or how. I know it was at least a while ago, so it's interesting kind of seeing this again. There wasn't really too much in it that I was like, oh, I didn't realize that kind of when I was younger or whatever. Because I saw this. I'm pretty sure I saw this like when I was in high school a couple times. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't. I guess for me, I didn't like get super connected to it like I did with like Incredibles or Toy Story 2. But as a movie that like, again, it gets back to it. Well, as a movie that I wasn't super duper like connected with, I still connected with it for a decent amount. It's objectively like totally fine. Like I can't think of really anything that I would say is like even, you know, mediocre, let alone like bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I could kind of see as a little bit of a thing for me is that's the narration that comes in every once in a while.
I knew you were going to bring that
Yeah,
up.
like some no, because like sometimes it's a little. It feels like it's not necessary, but other times it like especially at the beginning, at the end, it seems to work, and so it's like, well, if you just took out, like it's like you can't take it all out, and if you take it out in kind of the middle, then it's like kind of disjointed. That it's only the beginning, only at the end, so it's like you know. But it's not a big deal by any means. But yeah, that's like it. I really can't think of anything else to comment on.
Oh, one thing that I was trying to see throughout the movie was that I was trying to see if they had like any like Toy Story references or Finding Nemo references or anything. I couldn't find any though.
Aww.
There's probably something, but here let me.
There's probably a couple of things. Like I know you see a shadow of a dog, and it reminded me of Doug from Up.
Yeah,
but-
that I think that's probably what that was, but let's see. I don't know.
Oh, the music was really nice in this film too.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it sounded French, but it wasn't like stereotypical French music, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And I will say that Linguini's first apartment is quite accurate to what someone who's not super duper rich would have. It is supposed to look kind of shitty. So that was actually pretty accurate.
Oh, actually, well, not just speaking of the blah, 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 the soundtrack, but like the visual style, like especially the like landscapes of like Paris,
Oh yeah.
looks really
Yeah.
nice. So it is interesting. I know I feel like we've said this every single Pixar movie, but again, just seeing the technology just slowly improve, more and more.
Except with cars.
Well, yeah. Because like again with Incredibles, we talked about how the people look really good, and again they look good here too. But here it's like I feel like the big change. Well, there's two kind of things I noticed specifically. Is that the environments for the Incredibles were good, but they weren't like super stylized.
Yeah,
they were
this
a bit
movie definitely carried its own style, and I feel like, at least as someone who loves coloring and stuff, they added more undertones with colors and stuff to make things more alive. Because you can paint
Oh yeah.
like a tree green, but and it will look fine as like a tree or something. Like the leaves are green, the bark is brown. Okay, yeah. But if you add like undertones of like whatever mood that you're trying to go for it and stuff, it paints like a completely different picture and stuff. And I feel like in The Incredibles, you didn't really get those undertones that much, so you couldn't really get the feelings that you're supposed to get with certain scenes and stuff as much.
Right.
Mm.
But that's where the character dialogue came in a lot. But here, you can get like the undertones and you see the blues in like the sewer, where even though the sewer is not actually blue, you can actually see the undertones of that. And then you see like the rose. I noticed a lot of like rose and orange and blue hints, which were really nice and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that was something that I noticed.
Yeah, and then the other kind of technological improvement was with Remy's fur.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
so fluffy.
Yeah, and like for example, when he
Yeah.
got wet, like you could tell it like got kind of spiky in places, and so that was definitely kind of little technological improvements you could see. So that was neat. Oh, okay, I did find 2 Easter eggs.
Okay.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
At one point, you can see a caviar. No, hold on. What's the? Well, okay. In the pantry at one point, there's some caviar, and the brand name for
Oh.
the caviar is Nemo.
Really?
Yeah. So that's one, and the other, and this is something that's actually more interesting. In the background during a scene where Linguini and Colette are like roller skating, you can see Bon Voyage.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
the dude from the beginning of The Incredibles, who like blew up the
What?
bank or whatever. Yeah.
What?
So I kind of want to watch that, look back at that, because I feel like that'd be easy to see, but I didn't see it. So yeah, there's your Easter eggs. Apparently, also there's like the whole like Pizza Planet truck or whatever it's
Yeah.
supposed to be.
Yeah.
So apparently that's in there too, and it's like it's in the background, so it's like really hard to see. But apparently, this website, at least it says, it thinks that on the truck it says like Planet du Pizza or something. It's like in French. But yeah, so let's
And a doobie.
yeah. So that's kind of funny. Yeah, actually, well, okay.
Can you imagine if like Remy actually went into a pizza restaurant and was helping a pizza restaurant, and then he was in the truck that Toy Stories that they stole in Toy Story 2. And he's like, what the heck is going on here?
Boys are alive.
Where's my Pixar cinematic universe crossover? Come on, you want it.
Sorry, Valen, you were gonna say something.
Well, I was just kind of, I don't know, thinking, like, character stuff, if there's much to talk about there. I don't know.
I like the nickname for Remy, Little Shelf.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
I like, how I forgot his name, the really short chef dude,
Oh yeah.
How like he gets like super paranoid about like the rat, and they keep like taunting him about it.
Yeah.
I'm just picking up my keys. It's just like stuff like that. It reminds me. There was another movie that I feel like we watched recently that was kind of had something similar to that. Shoot.
Oh,
What was it?
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I think so.
Something I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. So that was good. Yeah. I don't know. It's a good movie. I don't really have too much else to say about it.
Yeah. Go watch it again.
Yeah. To me, I still agree with. I was talking kind of to Maya about this before we watched it today. She was like, "What do you think about it?" And I said, like, to me, this is like tier 2, where like tier 1 is what like I'm really into, and I just get really invested in the stories. So like I would say like Incredibles and Toy Story 2 are like tier 1. This is like a tier 2, where it's a very solid movie. There's really nothing wrong with it. I'm just not 100% in kind of in it emotionally. And again, that's no fault of the movie. It's just how it happens to be. So that's kind of how I see it. I see like Finding Nemo as kind of the same, pretty comparable. I think I like this one a little bit more than Finding Nemo, actually, which I wasn't 100% sure about before. But yeah, so good stuff.
Go watch it again.
Actually, what is even like next for Pixar? I don't even remember. Did they even have anything in 2008?
I don't think so.
No. We get this, but that's not Pixar.
No.
2009 has.
Oh, I
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So okay, if something
Oh.
is in 2000. I mean, well, I just said that you know what it is. So that's coming. But
More tears.
yeah. Have you both seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's something we have all seen. But yeah. So any other comments about anything?
I guess one random thing is that when I went to Europe, how many years ago was it now? It's a couple of years ago. We were in Belgium, and because of my cousin was getting married and stuff, at which we went to a beach, and they had like sandcastles of a bunch of like Disney like movies and stuff. Like people actually came in and made sandcastles, and it was really cool and stuff. One of them was Ratatouille and stuff, and I was like, oh, I wasn't, because Ratatouille isn't like the first thing that people like think of for movies and stuff too. And I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting to see this. And then my cousin's wife's mom explained, or at least I think someone explained, that Ratatouille is actually like a really popular movie in Europe and stuff. So I found that really interesting.
I mean,
Aw.
makes sense
Yeah.
because it's set in Paris. I mean, Belgium's not France, but it borders it. So close. It
It's
borders
nearby.
it close enough.
It's nearby.
Yeah. And then I feel like I was gonna say something else that you reminded me of, and I forgot what it was. Oh well.
Sandcastles?
What?
Sandcastles?
No. I don't know.
Hmm.
Whatever. Yeah. So next up, I don't remember. Oh wait, is it
Is it the first of many
Yep.
sequels?
Okay.
Yep, it is
the
the first
of our 4 sequels in a row.
Oh boy.
So-
Oh boy.
We had one last time. I mean, you can at least argue that this is like, I mean, it's not a sequel, but it's like, you know what I mean.
You get the point.
Yeah.
It's part of the series.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's part of a. I don't want to say cinematic universe, but like it kinda, So yeah, and then we get 4 sequels in a row within 2 franchises. So it's gonna be interesting how that works, but we'll deal with that when we get to that. So,
Yes.
Yep.
all right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.